Good day and welcome to today's lesson. So we're going to be continuing with our website that we are creating using Bootstrap. The next thing I want to add is I want to add some advantages of our gaming platform, right? So I'll go ahead and create a div. I'll give it a class of row. Now this row class, all it does is that it simply blocks out a whole horizontal section for us. For example, let me go ahead and give it a style and say border style so that you can see it. We are just simply going to be making the border thick, solid, border width, we'll give it, this is just simple inline CSS. I'll give it 3 pixels. I save that. I come to my web page, I refresh, and as you can see, this is our row here, but since I've not put anything inside, that's why it is so small. The vertical height of the row depends on what is inside it. If I just go ahead and write some things here now like this, I save that, come here, refresh, you can see that the row has increased in height. Now there's something else you can use apart from row, and that is called container. I save and I refresh, but as you can see, the container does not take the full width of your screen. But if you want the container to take the full width of your screen and behave exactly like your row, then you come and add fluid. Remember I said whatever you add fluid to, you are simply telling it to take the full width of your screen. I refresh and now you see our container is as long as our row. So for now, let me just go ahead and remove this border. This style, change this back to a row, and then I want to give my row, let's say, background color BG of secondary. Save that, I refresh. As you can see, our row is there, but the background color is not displaying because we have not written anything into our row. There's nothing here. So what I want to do now is that I want to go ahead and create columns. Now if you come over to our reference, this is our Bootstrap reference, you can come here to this columns section and you can see how column works in detail. They explain everything for you. So let me just go ahead and explain it briefly. So I'm going to create a div again, and this time I'll give it a column class equal to col. Now column simply helps you to divide your page into it simply helps you to divide your page vertically into columns, right? So I want to divide my page into 3 columns. I'll go ahead and copy and paste this 3 times. Copy and paste it like this. So these are my 3 columns. Let me write something inside so that you can see them. Save that. I come over to our page, I refresh, and as you can see, this is our background color showing and this is our column showing. Now assuming I wanted one column to be bigger than another, I can do that by simply adding a number in front of my column. But your page can be divided maximum of 12 columns. That means there are only 12 spaces or allocated for your columns, right? So for example, one div can take 4 out of those 12 spaces, which leaves 8 spaces for the other 2 divs or whatever number of divs you are using, right? One div can choose to take 7, which leaves only 5 spaces. But once a particular div or a group of divs have taken a maximum of 12 spaces, right, every other div will be taken below, stacked below. What do I mean? For example, I could choose to give this our column, let's say 7. I save that, and when I come here to refresh, you realize that this our column now is taking 7 spaces, which leaves only 5 spaces for these 2 columns. I could choose to give this second column now a space of 3. Save that. I refresh, and as you can see, now this column is bigger than this column. So now this first column is taking 7 spaces, this second column is taking 3 spaces, and this last column is taking 2 spaces, which all equates to 12. If I were to add another column now, it will come over and come down here because it will be more than 12. Now another thing to note is that when I resize my browser, as you can see, all the columns are jam-packed together. What if I want them to stack at a particular point? I will now come here and add something. I can add MD here, I can add MD here, and I can add MD. Save that. This means that once your page resizes to a medium size, the columns should stack on top of each other like this. Let me go ahead and refresh and then resize my page, and as you can see, now the columns have stacked on top of each other once it reaches a medium size. So this is medium here, and then the columns stack on top of each other. Now what if I wanted to stack on top of each other once the screen is big? It doesn't need to wait to reach the medium size, reduce to the medium size. I just use LG. And I use LG. Save that, refresh, and you can see this is the medium size, but even when I expand beyond the medium size, the columns are still stuck on each other until I come here. Why? Because I am using LG. And you can order, there are other options you can use like SM, which means that the columns will only stack on each other when the screen that your user is using to view your website is very small. Let's say a screen like a mobile device and all that. And you could also use XS. XS means that the screen needs to be extra small before the columns will stack on top of each other. So for now, let's just go ahead and use our MD. Save that, and let me give all of them equal spaces. So I'll just give them 4, 4, 4. 4 in 3 places is equal to 12, right? Save that. 4 times 3 is 12. So I'll come here, I refresh. As you can see now, my columns are equal, but I want to move my column to the middle. These columns, I want them to be aligned in the middle. So I'll come here and just add our normal text center. In some cases, you can use justify. You can see more about aligning your content under this grid section here. It will teach you more and show you more about how to align your content anyhow you want it, whether you want to align it to the right or align it to the left using Bootstrap. This section here is where you see how to do it on that grid. So let's go back, and then I want to align it to the center. I save that, come here, refresh my page, and as you can see now my columns are aligned to the center. Now another thing I want to do is that this thing is too close to my top and bottom, so let me go ahead and add a padding. I'll give it a padding of a top padding of 3, and then a padding bottom, that's PB of 3 again. Save that. I come over here, and I refresh, and as you can see, padding has been added at the bottom. Let me see why was padding not okay. PT is for padding top. Save that, come here, refresh. As you can see, the same padding has been added at the top, just like we did for this Reynolds game here. So now the next thing I want to do is that I want to add some very large icons. Now for you to use icon in Bootstrap uses Font Awesome as their default icon system. But for you to use Font Awesome, you will need to also link it to your page, just like you link Bootstrap. So I'll come here, I've copied the link here. I'll make the link available in the description below. So I come to my page, and I scroll up here and then add it here. Okay, and you're right, I have not copied the link. Then copy the link and add it here. I save that, and now I can begin to use my Font Awesome. For more details on Font Awesome, just like Bootstrap documentation, you come to fontawesome.com so that you can see the many different icons you can use. Now the link that I just gave you in the description box, and the link that I'm just using now, is a link for Font Awesome version 4. The current latest version of Font Awesome, I think, is version 6. They recently also released version 5. So let's just go ahead and come to the documentation here. And then we'll select the version here, or versions, since we are using version 4. So we scroll down here and we go to version 4. And then we see the icons that are available. So we can scroll down and see a lot of items available. Let me just go ahead and find one. Okay, let me use this industry, open it in another tab, just so that you see it. You can click on it to view it in more details. And so this is how you can use it here. So you just go ahead and simply copy this, and this is the icon for it, right? Come over to my web page, scroll down, and then I paste it here. And then just below, use our BR tag to pay. Can just write something. Let me write a small header tag. Now head tag usually comes with a BR by default, so no need for this BR then. And I can just write number 1, and then just write a simple P tag as well to just go ahead and indent that. Okay, just write we are number 1. Save that, come over to my page and I refresh, and as you can see, this is what I showed. I want to increase the size of my icon here. I can come over to my code here and add FA and then add 5x. Now there's 1x, 2x, 3x, I think with 5x being the biggest. I refresh that, and as you can see, my icon has really expanded. Now I want my text here to also be color white, so I'll come over here and also add text white. Now let's assume you want to use other colors, not just white. You can use text success, text primary, text danger, and the colors associated with those words, just like we learned earlier, will come up. Save that, refresh. As you can see, we are making progress. I'll go ahead and add a small heading. Let me add a class and give it a margin. A margin bottom of let's say 3, and a margin top of 1 or 2. Let's make it 2. Save that. Margin top, that's empty. Now the difference between margin and padding is that when you add padding to an element, it will increase the space between the content of that element and the boundary of the element internally, right? But when you use margin, it will increase the space between that element and every other element around it. So now when I used padding top here, it will increase the space between these elements inside my div, right, and the boundary of this div. But now that I am adding margin for this particular header tag, it will simply increase the space between this header tag and every other element around it. That's this div and this div up here. So I go ahead and save, and I refresh. As you can see, it has added there. Let me add more margin to the bottom. I'll give it a bottom margin of 5. And as you can see, the space here has increased. So let me just go ahead and add some other things, some other font or some icons. Let me search for one to add here. handshake. Okay, see this one, and handshake O. So I can just come here to my code, copy this same one that was here, paste it here, and then I changed this from FA industry to FA handshake, just like what was written in that place. And then I can just copy all this and write some other things again. Reliable partners. Save that. Come over to my page, I refresh, and as you can see, this has been added. So let me just quickly add something to this third column. Come here, I refresh, and as you can see now, the beautiful thing about Bootstrap is the fact that it is highly responsive, right? So when I